you don't have an arrest warrant for that. Oh, Stephen A. Smith, shucking and jiving. How bad was the coverage in the NBA Finals? I'm here to tell you it was egregious. And to say the least, the reason it was so bad and so awful, Stephen A. Smith put on a world-class performance. Unbelievable. You would have thought he was doing a WWE monologue. Stephen A., the NBA Finals is not about you. This fool, look at him. He went into a full monologue. It was awful. And if this was the last time God, thank you. The halftime crew was Malika Andrews as the host with Stephen A. Smith, Bob Myers, Kendrick Perkins, and sometimes Shams would pop up there as an analyst. Let me tell you right now, this was the worst NBA Finals crew in the history of sports. The halftime show, the ABC feature, oh my God, never bring them back again. I hope ABC is done and they never go this route again. Bob Myers, he's about as useless as a screwdriver without a screw. Malika Andrews, who's very inept at what she does, she's just surface based. She just really has just bland. Perk is the only one that had any type of flair. But again, once again, there was no one on there who could center and balance all of this together. Shams was the only one that tried to do that with coming and bringing in some analysis to what was going on. And he comes off more as a internet stat fanboy who's only going off statistics. So the people that's listening, 9 times out of 10, yes, they like stats, but you need someone to ground them. What you got was a self-serving show for a halftime. And it was the worst in anybody has ever seen in history. I'm not joking. I am not kidding around. I am not playing around. I am 100% serious. This was the worst it has ever been in the history of professional sports. I've never seen any NBA Finals look like this. It looked like a joke. It looked like they were doing a skit and making fun of the NBA halftime show. I am not joking. I am not joking.
Tonight is about. The world is watching. Not is about. The world is. That's what tonight is about. Show up. That's what tonight is about. The world is watching, not just America. The world, the NBA, the basketball icon that it is. Everybody across the world is watching. This is what you live for. I want to thank the Indiana Pacers. I want to thank the Oklahoma City Thunder for giving us a finals like this. Now, It's about who wants it and who's going to go get it. That's why we here.
I could.
Now, Stephen A. Smith goes into his theatrics and once again wants to make the NBA Finals about him. Dude was auditioning for a WWE character, which would be known as Stephen A. Smith. Now, he was over the top for a reason, but he wasn't the only bad one on the show. He was just the most bad because he was irritated. Because what was he doing? He was self-serving himself. He's promoting himself instead of the game. When you're a journalist or you're trying to promote the sport, it's not about you, dummy. It's not about you. You're hired to do a job. That is what you are here for, is to help us. Why don't you understand that, Stephen A? It's not about your brand. You can do this theatrics on your Stephen A. Smith show. You're hired and you're working for the NBA. You can't separate your work persona from the persona that you have on your show. This happened to Judge Mathis too. They made him retire as a judge. We think you're bringing your your television personality into your work. So you're going to have to pick which one you're going to want to choose. I'd be like, that's a no-brainer. I'm going to choose my show. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I'm just using this as a contrast, but that's the problem with Stephen A. You forgot you're hired to do a job to promote and break down the actual game that's taking place in front of you. That's what you're there for. That's why you're hired. That's why you're in that chair in that suit. And they got all these people there for you to talk about what's going on in the game, A versus B. Okay? That's your job. It's not about promoting you. That's what you forgot. You're in there promoting you because you know you can basically bulldoze Malika Andrews because she's very inept at her job. She's there to manage time and minutes. And Bob Myers, a man that never should have been hired to have the job, doesn't know what he's doing. It's like, what general manager job are you holding out for? They haven't picked you by now? Then they're probably not. And just because it's Pride Month, okay, are we going to go into diversity hires? I haven't heard you make a smart take in 4 or 5 years. And we don't want to go into all the credit you took for putting the Golden State Warriors together, which you didn't. But you took all the credit. I'll give you that. They treated the finals like a regular season game. No, they treated it as their last time on the show because they know this is over. They're out. Now, when ESPN does their games, will they be doing it? Maybe. But from the big show, NBA Finals, oh, they're out. They're done. Bye-bye. Disney is done. Now, they want to promote themselves. Now, we all know what Stephen A. Smith is. As he comes in with his security, like, what is this guy going to do? What is that 7 foot tall dude that with bad knees? What that old guy for your security is going to do? But get broke up. Nobody wants you, dog. Go ahead and go on do your job. And that's self-serve. He gave bad takes after bad takes.
Happen. Remember.
He said, I'm glad Stephen A. got hurt. Halliburton got hurt. Then he said, if I can walk, then I want to play. That's what he said. Halliburton is down. Halliburton is down. Oh, damn. None of us wants to see this. We don't want a title decided that way, especially the way he was playing. Oh, damn. And then Skip Bayless, who's from Oklahoma City, definitely was saying something to get people to go down and be mad at Skip. Now he can't be fired for the attention grabbing shit that he says. Then he says this.
Halliburton has looked awful, and I'm glad he's injured. I'm not saying I'm glad he's injured, but I'm glad we got that as the rationale. Halliburton has looked awful, and I'm glad he's injured. I'm not saying I'm glad he's injured, but I'm glad we got that as the rationale. Halliburton has looked awful, and I'm glad he's injured.
So when you say that on an NBA telecast, what have you just said to the rest of the world? You just made yourself look like a fool in front of the entire world. Mm-hmm. Timothy Payton, hold on. Why did they do that to Timothy Payton? Hey, Timothy Payton, I don't know why you was put on a timeout. But you all good over here? Wow. Anybody say something, they just kick them out. But don't worry, you're a moderator when you come back. Hopefully they didn't knock you all the way off. They just knocked this dude off. Let me see if Timothy can come back. All right, Tim, hold on. Trying to fix this problem we got here. So Stephen A. Smith decided that he was going to make this all about himself. And the reason why he made it all about himself is because he knows he's on the way out.
I'm not saying I'm glad it did, but I'm glad we got that as the rationale.
So that's the clip.
Now, that's the clip that they've been playing over and over again. Bad takes, but his game assessments, he consistently blurts out the wrong names of people. You know, like he's a fanboy on the couch. Journalistic mistakes you don't make on national television without correcting them. There he is. Timothy's back. Adam Silver's trying to silence me. Yeah, we gave you a wrench too, Timothy. We ain't playing those games. They tried to silence this man. I'm like, this man been here 11 years. 11 years. We gave you a wrench. Now, Stephen A. Smith in his infinite wisdom has done acts that did not conveniently service himself. He did acts to service. He tried to service himself, and it worked as a disservice towards everything that he was doing. Now, what you've seen in like different movies or television shows, things of that nature, what you've acquired and what you've run into was a lot of suspicious activities. Stephen A. Smith got 2 new shows coming, right? He's got a political show that he's going to be doing. So he's going to be working more on his radio shows and his Cyrus radio deals. So now ESPN got him doing more things outside of the box than in the box. He wants to be behind the scenes creating more puppets because that's what he is. And, you know, I'm the puppet slayer. I come in and slay all of these puppets that you've seen that they keep throwing at me, right? That's my job, is to keep knocking them down. They build them up, I knock them down. So that's me, the puppet slayer. Oh, 100%. But now we got to get to the gist of the problem. We have a major disconnect here. You see, this Maria Taylor thing that went down, the Maria Taylor situation with ESPN, all of these situations and stories that you heard about, it brought in and brought up Malika Andrews because they had some problems with their own diversity issues that now the whole world knows what time it is. And if you don't know what time it is, you must have been living under a rock. Stephen A. Smith is a clown. And this whole situation is being brought and put on their head. No, that's where you're kind of wrong. You got to understand that when you see things that are toxic, you either believe it or you don't. People will see something and they don't believe it's toxic or whatever, or most people go to the store, they don't really pay attention to the halftime show anymore. But for those who did, you saw something that was very much of a disservice to you. He was awful. I mean, just absolutely awful. But it was the whole team. Malika Andrews was put up there and brought up there. If you want to say a diversity hire, her and doggone Bob Myers, who's one, too tall to be in that lineup. Okay, he's too tall and too awkward. He doesn't even fit the optics. So, okay, you sit Bob Myers in the chair. What does Bob Myers really add to the show? Nothing. You got about 30,000 other white guys you could have put in that position. Well, this is what I mean. This is what ESPN provides to you and say this is the best of our best. This isn't just Carcino saying this. Everybody has spoken about the coverage in the NBA. Absolutely. And right now, Kyrie Irving, I want to let y'all know, Kyrie Irving is opting or declining his $43 million player option, and it's going to give the Dallas Mavericks a team-friendly deal where he's signing a 3-year deal for $119 million. Now, his 3-year deal is guaranteed. He's got a player option at the 27-28 season. So after 2 years, he's got a player option. He did the team a favor so to keep them under the cap so they can get more help, more players, and they're guaranteeing him $119 million in 3 years. That's better than being $43 million, keeping that money, and then just saying, "No, I just want my money." And then at the end of the year, Dallas ain't taking you back, and then you got to try to go get another 2-year deal, especially if you're comfortable where you at. No, you get caught up in situations you don't understand. Mm-hmm. Well, let me just say the change is coming, and it's here. All right, they got real basketball people involved, and we had to get rid of this agenda and all this. We trying to fill the boxes to try to prove where it's not something that we are. Who will be the next small market team? Well, OKC is not a small market team. It only appears that way. They sell out every night. Every show, every game, OKC is selling out. That's why they said, wow, we got to give them a team. Because the people in the town, they got nothing going on in the town. Russell Westbrook just invested all this money into building up OKC to make it a town that people would want to come to get players. He's building a nightlife like atmosphere down there so the NBA players can have a place to go. Kevin Durant used to have a restaurant in OKC where they would go down there and it would stay late, after hours. So after games, guys can go there and hang out at Kevin Durant's place. Other than that, the whole town be shut down at like 9, 10 o'clock. But they had brought the New Orleans Hornets there after the hurricane. That's the only reason the Thunder got a team. Is because they needed a place to play. They put the Thunder in Oklahoma City, and all the people in Oklahoma came to support the Pelicans. The New Orleans team, they came out. It was more of them there than their own New Orleans fans. And they was like, yeah, we want our own team. And they were like, oh, you're going to get it. Y'all stacking up the stadiums. And they got their own team. When they did the expansion, or they didn't even do an expansion, they moved the Seattle Supersonics. They was like, look, we moving y'all over here. They're ready. They got the fans ready to go. Right, they would have been the Sonics, but the city of Seattle said, "Hey, we're gonna file up. We keeping the name, so the Sonics name belongs to Seattle, and they want to bring the Sonics back. And Kevin Durant wants to be a part of that, and he wants to be an owner when that happens, and part of the owner investment team." Now, what I'm ready to show you is the change, the future of all of this. To fix this Stephen A. Smith garbage that we've been seeing for years. All the dumb stuff he's been doing and saying on his show, just being a character and a poor example of what a professional sports journalist is supposed to be doing out here. Just buffoonery and clownery. Stuart Scott would be very disappointed. Now, here's the new media team. Guess who gets the job? Steve Nash gets the new job on Amazon Prime, which has Dwayne Wade and Haslam, Candace Parker, Blake Griffin with the pedo stash, Dirk Nowitzki, Taylor Rooks, and Stan Van Gundy. That's the NBA Prime squad. Now, NBC, Reggie Miller and some Asian guy I don't know, with Michael Jordan, Carmelo Anthony, Vince Carter, Mike Tirico, Maria Taylor, and now it's been announced today, Grant Hill. Woo! A far cry and change from what we have been witnessing as we are getting rid of mid coverage of the game. A much more improved lineup. I don't like Reggie's broadcasting at all. Yep, everybody is excited to see that Michael Jordan's coming back. They're paying him $40 million just for limited work, just to have MJ back on NBC. And the Amazon Prime squad. Well, let's think about it. Malika Andrews and the team she was with, right? Anything's better than Will Baum, okay? Will Baum is the original Stephen A. Smith. He just followed the Will Baum plan all the way to the end. And I was just so grateful they didn't bring him all the way up. Unwatchable is what the fans said about the halftime show of ESPN. Unwatchable. So that ain't Carcino talking. That is the fans. The people have spoken out. Yeah, the people have spoken out because they tired of it. Look at the narratives that everybody have in place now. I mean, look at this. Did that lineup look like they work together? When you make a team for a broadcast, it's all about aesthetics. It's all about how it looks and how it flows. When you went from Mark Jackson, okay, doing the commentary, and you got rid of Jeff Van Gundy, I'm just like, how did you split that up? How did you say that's not working because LeBron doesn't like what they're saying about him? They're not promoting the game right. They're promoting the game just fine. People ain't had no problems with them. So it was all about ego of a one person who wants to rule the whole goddamn league, who's run the league down. So you destroy something that was working to appease one egotistical maniac. Now, Big Perk. Perk made some statements, former player. No, he's not a strong journalist. He came up in the sports world, but he was the best thing on there. That's a problem. In my estimation, that's a problem when the best player or the best person that's doing the talking ain't supposed to be talking. He ain't supposed to be saying a word. Big Perk is not supposed to be saying a word. He's supposed to be adding. That's it. Oh, it started off on a whole different note. All of these people had nothing to say. I'm serious. Malika her job is to balance the time, tell them when we got to go to commercial break. She really doesn't have that much to say or add. So she's not neither good or bad. She's weak. She's inexperienced at handling something this big. And she's been doing this now for a couple of years. She was the diversity hire, not Maria Taylor. It was Malika Andrews. She was not qualified. She got upgraded due to the controversy of what went down with with all the controversy that went down with what's the girl's name who was doing all the NBA and they got rid of her. When her and Maria Taylor, she was talking about it when they had to share the responsibility. Rachel, yeah, okay, yeah, Rachel. So when they got rid of Rachel, they said the ginger. So they got rid of Rachel and they brought Malika Andrews because the NBA said, no, we don't want to get Rachel up here. You know, the black folks is mad. The NBA said we can't do that. We don't want this controversy going on through the NBA Finals. And this was happening right before the NBA Finals when it just was coming out. So now, all of a sudden, here they come. Boom. No, not Jamel here. It was Rachel Nichols. So after that, you know, Malika Andrews was upscaled. So after it was upscaled, you know what happened? Maria Taylor was on her way out. And they just gave it all to Malika Andrews. She's going to be the new face to say, hey, we got diversity here. They were looking for anybody black that they could put up there, and that was female. So now we killing two birds with one stone. She's new here. We ain't paying her but a quarter. So this is perfect. Let's just promote and boost her up. So now the people in the neighborhoods and everybody in the hood, we were rooting for them. It's like we have the all female and black diversity on ESPN for the NBA Finals. And it was supposed to be something right after the pandemic. And everybody wants to show diversity. And then what happened? Everybody went the negative time. Malika Andrews, all of a sudden, started attacking all the black men, just like you said. She started attacking black men right away. And people started saying, whoa. Because after that, it became a problem. It became a real problem. And people started to dig into her history because they said, hey, wait a minute, we thought she was one of the cool ones. And she wasn't. So the NBA, the Indiana Pacers, Oklahoma City Thunder, two teams that were 100%. Right. These two teams was 100% pushing in that direction where they were, where it was basketball, two teams that played fast, got up and down the court, and It was very key at that time. Most of the people that were essentially atop of the game, and these guys were the main guys. You bring out your best of the best. You bring out your best gun. You bring out your best announcers, is what I'm saying. These are the best players in the world, and they're made it to the championship. And you want to bring out and highlight your best announcers to do this job. You want to bring your best halftime show to do the job. And the ESPN announcers, they've been calling the game in the NBA studio and been handling other parts of the broadcast, including the halftime show. And man, the fans not like what they see or they saw. Rather than hear from Stephen A. Smith and Kendrick Perkins and Bob Myers doing halftime of game 2, because it was pretty much just completely unwatchable. I mean, it really was unwatchable. It was the definition of brutal television. All the fans was riping over the show, saying that ESPN should have brought Donovan Mitchell, Marcus Smart, somebody who speaks their mind but know what they're talking about. They like, this show is completely unwatchable. How can anybody listen to this and believe it's good television? And somebody said, this is why I mute it and just walk away. One of the all-time worst sports audio shows ever. Remarkably awful year after year. Now we're going to go into this. Just so
criticism, because for the ones that have done it,
he doesn't make him look very good.
Even have he doesn't. I know, but I live in the world, Perk. I can see what people say. Halliburton has answered the bell. That's what I'm saying. But he's not having a good half. He's not having.
Okay, but I'm with you. I'm with you. I mean, you need more from Halliburton.
I'm very careful of my Halliburton criticism, because for the ones that have done it,
he doesn't make him look very good.
Even have he doesn't. I know, but I live in the world, Perk. I can see what people say. Halliburton has answered the bell. That's what I'm saying. But he's not having a good half. He's not having.
Okay, but I'm with you. I'm with
you. Now, when we say or we speak on the fact of this is what it is, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about just in general. Bob Myers, why is he there? I'm serious. Why is he there? Why is Bob Myers there? This whole thing stinks to high heaven. Why is this crew together? And hopefully this was the last time. We hopefully never have to see this crew ever officiate another game. And it's brutal. Stephen A. spending half of the time promoting himself and not the actual act that's going on. Maria Taylor is somewhere just shaking her head like, you guys are so stupid. And Malika Andrews is sitting there like, I'm loving this. This is just free form. We're just talking like a barber shop. Bob Myers is like, well, I'm watching you instead of looking at the screen so I can get my cue to start talking because I'm a walking, talking robot. And Kendrick Perkins is looking like, man, y'all tell me when we can go out there break. When we on commercial break, I gotta take a dump. Man, y'all should, man, I don't know what y'all put in those little bitty taco things y'all had in there in the snack room. No. They never seen anybody really come to their aid or like them in a certain standpoint. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how you have people that like you or you like them or, you know, vice versa. But what you don't do and what you don't really run into that much is a lot of people that's against you that you don't really know or understand. No. It was a disservice for people watching it. It was just hard to listen to. You know, me, I just hit mute and I just was on live. I just said, I don't know what they talk about. Then to go back and listen, I said, oh my God, this was like this for all 7 games. They was like, man, this was terrible to listen to. It was awful from game 1 on. And I'm listening to it on the games. I'm like, oh, this is worse than I thought. This is worse than I thought. So, yeah, that was my approach to it. And that is that. So I will leave it at that. I'm going to get up out of here. It's your boy Carcino. I'll holler at you later. Thank you. Hi, I'm Carcino.